Let me show you now the trick for doing the doors, for example. We've seen how to make simple walls. We have our floor plate here, which is actually now, we actually need to move our walls back 6 inches. Just like that. Okay. So now we're good. We've got our floor. And actually, on the bottom floor, we want it to come all the way out for this deck that we have out here. So let's extend that out. Our walls are already in the right place. So if we go into the modifier stack and go to the editable spline again, of course, because the extrude is just a modifier, we can go right underneath of it. And let's move it along the y-axis only till it's right about there, and that will create our deck surface below, kind of like that. Now let's try and create one of these doors here, and again we'll be able to instance it because it'll be the same here, here, and here. So let's just turn off our front elevation reference. You do that by going into the layer manager and going in the hide column, going to front elevation reference. And again, in 2015, everything's kind of in different places, but you can do all the same things. So it might take a little work to figure that out, but essentially you want to find out how to turn off the visibility of that layer. So that cleans it up a little bit. If we go into create rectangle, we can now snap here and here. And I like to convert these to edit poly. There's different ways to do this, but this will show you a little bit of poly modeling and how we can use it in architecture here. So that again, of course, you've seen this before. That just creates a face for you. Just a regular old plane. And let's put it, now this is where you would use 3D snap, okay? So let's snap it to right. Now you can see I locked my object in. Let's snap it to right there, just like that. Now here's some edit poly stuff. Okay, let's take this face. Select this face, this polygon. We're in polygon subobject mode. And we'll create kind of the molding around the door. I'm going to show you a bunch of poly tools here that we'll be able to use later too. So extrude is one of them. You can extrude just this face here. And these are all inside the modifier of this particular edit poly. And in face mode you can extrude. So let me just show you what you can do. You can just click there and push that face out a little bit like that. Now if we inset it a little bit, that gives us kind of the little trim and the threshold for our door. And then let's extrude it back in like that. And then maybe we could add a little more dimension to it by using the inset tool. You can see it's insetting that face. Then we can extrude it back again. Now what we need to do is go into edge mode of that polygon, still in the same object. Select that bottom edge and that top edge. And remember, this is a double door. And then we will connect, and we'll hit the dialog box, the settings for connect, just so I can show you. So we're only going to connect it one time, and that'll connect it once right up the center of that thing. If we wanted it off the center, we could slide it. Nope, just kidding. Slide it in either direction. If we had two, we could pinch them together or stretch them apart like this. But in our case, we just want to get one right up the center. So here's good little trick as well. To reset this back to 1, just right click right here on these arrows. Right click, boom, 1. Set this back to 0, right click, right click. That just sets it back. That's the fastest way to set it back to default. So that's exactly what we want right there, just 1. So we'll check mark. Now we can select the faces again. Those two faces are still selected. And if we inset now with the settings, we can, so this is insetting like we did before, but we actually want to inset each one individually. So what you do is, right now it's insetting by group. You can inset by polygon, and you can see how that works. So this is kind of the border of the door. It's usually about 4 inches. So we'll put it right there, and that should be fine. And now we'll extrude back. And if you want to add a little more detail, we're extruding back for the glass now. So this last plane will be our plate of glass. The highlighted one right now is our plate of glass for that door. So you can see we got some nice little doors there, just by insetting, extruding, insetting, extruding, insetting, extruding, splitting, insetting, extruding. Those kind of poly tools. There's just no faster way to do that. If you're doing it all with splines, it would kind of take you forever, and you could do sweeps and all those kind of things. But this adds nice dimension to that door just really quickly. And because we're going to be on the outside, we're doing an exterior rendering. That's all the further we have to go. We don't really have to model the backside of that door. So we'll just leave it just like that. We can go out of this sub-object mode. Now, go into the front mode, and let's copy that door. Instance, because it's going to be exactly the same as these ones next to it. We'll grab there, move along the x-axis, and you can hold shift and do the same thing. That's a move and copy. Make sure and instance it on the x-axis. There you go. We got 3 doors, all exactly the same, all instanced to each other. We've got the majority of that front wall, on the first floor anyway, all done. Let's go back to our layers here, turn our front elevation reference back on, go into shaded mode, and you can see that we've done a good portion of this front wall. Oh, we're missing some windows over here, so in the next video we'll keep going and show you some more tricks as we go along.